Hello, I am Choco. And it's been a while, hasn't it? I've been on a pretty long hiatus, I'm really sorry. But I've been working on some cool stuff that I will show you today. If you've read the title, you'll know that I'm working on a Mascot horror game, which hopefully you aren't too sick of, but please leave room for one more. We're a team of 4 and we're all so excited to be making this game. And I am, of course, in charge of character designs. If you've seen any of my previous videos, it would seem obvious. But before getting into the designs, let me give you the quickest little overview of what the game will be about. It takes place in a now abandoned TV studio where kids' shows were being filmed with animatronic mascots as each show's host. So each mascot has their own show with its own theme and lessons they would teach. And let me now present you to each of my new beloved characters, and I hope you like them as much as I do. Let's start with our main mascot. It's Millie. She's what I like to call the main entertainer and also the host. She starts the show, introduces herself and the others, probably does some skits, let the others do their own show, and then closes the show. Besides being the host, she's the main mascot because she has the most crossovers with the others' shows. She comes in and cracks jokes, does skits with whoever she's with, and makes the whole thing more fun, as she'd probably put it. It's why I designed her as a jester. She's all about making people laugh and goofing around. She's full of energy all the time and she loves her job so much. Though I don't know if you'd consider it a job if it's literally what you were created to do. But she loves it. She's happy as long as she can make kids smile and laugh. I mean, adults too, but kids are the main target. I like to think there were meet and greets with kids at the studio, and she would be so excited for those, too excited even. I think she'd scare the kids a bit with how overbearing she can be. But she doesn't mean it, she's just so excited to meet her little fans and she wants to make them laugh and she wants to have fun all day and show them around and give them the best memories ever. You can imagine how she felt when the studio inevitably shut down. But we're not getting into that right now. Though I will say that I intentionally designed her long and lanky so that she can later on be all creepy, being too tall and probably crawling around like a bug or something. But yeah, let's talk design. Her nice current design. She'll be slightly different in game. But right now she's a silly little jester. Well, a long jester. I designed her like this because she's an entertainer. She makes people laugh and smile. Also because I love clowns, I was very glad when the team agreed she would be the main mascot. Also, side tangent, but back when the prototype design was revealed, I saw some people saying that the jester thing was overdone and that they were getting bored of it. You're fine with Millie, right? She gets a special pass. Pretty please. Anyway, I went through a bunch of design with her, but I knew right away she had to be some kind of silly clown, as well as being very tall. She's the tallest of her little group too. I feel like that really sets her apart as the leader. I want to go over some of the designs I took inspiration from to make Millie. First there's Nights, from Nights into Dreams. The overall character really inspired me, but you can see I kept the legs/feet that taper out, makes them feel really stable, I love it. As well as the hat that almost feels like hair in the sense that it seems to be directly part of the head. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I did the opposite shape on Millie's face to not copy one-to-one. The puppet from FNAF is also a big inspiration. It's what made me want to give Millie a long body. And Millie even has a puppet mouth, which the actual puppet doesn't have, but I really like it on Millie. It adds a bit of a creepy factor. The prince, the main character from Katamari Damacy, is another one, even though I feel like I only noticed the inspiration after I gave her the head shape. So more of an unconscious choice, but still definitely there. Another one I feel inspired by without even me noticing it while drawing up the design is Water-type Miku. The way her hair is tied to look like a mermaid fin or something looks just like the way I tied Millie's hat with a big bell at the end. I think it makes her look so unique, and if you look at her from behind, her hat looks like a big ol' heart because she loves you so much. And my last character inspiration comes from Steven Universe's Penel. Not in any specific way to her design, but her overall character definitely has similarities. But I won't go into that too much today. Besides, I think it's time to go over our next character. Papa, his full name being Papa Tissier, is our friendly local baker. He, of course, has a cooking show where he teaches kids how to cook delicious sweets while still eating healthy. He takes a lot of pride and joy in his baking, and he loves hearing about kids actually trying out his recipes. As the name suggests, it's very fatherly and extremely nice and sweet, just a big old sweetheart. He definitely acts like an old man, even though in all technicality, he's the same age as Millie. I like to think he always dresses up as Santa for whatever Christmas special the show might have, and he keeps the act up all day, not just for the kids, but for the rest of the mascots and any crew he might come across at the studio. And it, of course, bakes so many Christmas cookies and holiday treats. Papa was actually the first conceptualized character. When my friend pitched the project to me, he only had in mind going through a kitchen set with a chef character pursuing us. He already had the TV studio animatronic Mascot horror, but the chef was the only character at first. I then kind of pushed him to expand on that idea and bring a bunch of other characters aboard. But since we started with him, he'll be the first chapter's mascot, the first actual character you'll encounter in-game, which I'm so excited about, but all in due time. Before going into how I design him, I should mention that most of the concepts I drew is what I like to call their cartoon design. The design you'd see on posters and merch and short cartoons that might play in between breaks. That way I don't have to think about joints and articulation or any of that stuff, and focus on the actual design. So their cartoon version and physical form might have some differences. The final illustration is their actual animatronic form though. But anyway, when I first started designing him, he was a generic chef. But I immediately started shifting to a baker. To me it just makes sense. A baker makes cakes and cookies and all sorts of sweets. It's way more targeted to kids than if he was cooking gourmet meals. So his final design ended up being a mix of different sweets and baked goods. His chef hat is a flan. His face is a chocolate chip cookie. His hair and mustache is made out of cream. His big apron is a cherry pie, and his kitchen gloves are Pop-Tarts. His palette is mostly neutral, earthy tones that makes him look like a mix of chocolate, vanilla, flour or sugar. All kinds of ingredients. He's also, of course, very round. That's one of the first things I knew I wanted in his design, big and round, which makes him really stand out from Millie, as well as the rest of the cast. I want to say he gives the best Papa Bear hugs, but since his outer casing is mostly made of hard plastic, I don't know how comfortable it would actually be. But it's the thought that counts. Anyway, let's move on to our next mascot. Rosaline, or Rosie, is the littlest of the group. She's teeny tiny, especially compared to the giant that is Millie. And she teaches kids about health and safety. Probably moral lessons too, about being polite and kind. She basically teaches about anything relating to living a good, healthy life and being a good person. She's partly a nurse, partly some kind of educator. I think she'd sadly be the least popular of the group because she isn't as fun as the others. Her show is truly about education, so it can be seen as a bit more boring compared to the others, but it is necessary. Rosie is extremely kind and a bit shy and introverted. I definitely had Fluttershy in mind while designing her. And I think all of that makes her way more popular with the quiet kids, especially during studio visits. She's not as hyper as the rest, so the kids don't get overwhelmed. And she probably has a bunch of books she recommends to the kids and that they can come and read when they visit her side of the studio. She's also less intimidating, since she's basically the same size as the children. Somewhere in the studio, probably next to her sets, is some kind of veranda where she keeps all sorts of plants and flowers. Besides her main show, I want her to also have a show where she teaches kids about plants, how to take care of them, the good they can do, the fruits they can bear, flower meanings, all that stuff. And like her books, kids can come in and look at her plants, as well as help taking care of them. She also gets along great with both Millie and Papa. She kinda has an opposite attracts relationship with Millie. Rosie is a bit more energetic simply by being around Millie, and Millie relaxes a bit when she's around Rosie. And Papa already has a calmer personality, so when him and Rosie are together, they're like little old people chatting on their porch. They're very chill together. All three of them get along great anyway, as they are the OGs. When the studio was first created, those three were the only mascots. All the others were created later, so Rosie, Papa and Millie have a close bond because of that. And they don't hold it over the other's head or feel superior or anything. It's just that for a while it was just the three of them, so of course they're very close. As for Rosie's design, before naming her we kept calling her the nurse, so while doing concept, I kept adding nurse elements to her. And very early on, I also knew I wanted her to be plant/flowers themed. You know, like medicinal herbs. But even though I had a clear theme going on for her, I struggled to come up with a good final design. I went over a bunch of different flowers for her hair and clothes, but eventually I ended up with a big leaf covering one eye. I kept wanting to cover one of her eyes, but I didn't know how, so I really like this version. The leaf is connected to the rest of her hair, which is two tulips-like flowers to look like hairbands. Her hairstyle matches that of another character, but she'll remain a secret for now. I then folded the lighter leaf on top of her head to look like a nurse's hat. I think it's cute without doing too much. She wears a pink flower as a dress, with a leaf acting as a shawl. She also has an acorn bag that's probably filled with bandages. And her shoes are also leaf. I guess I can help myself. Besides some of the leaves and flowers, her body shape is all circles to show how safe she is. There's no need to worry around her. I made her hands taper out too, kind of like a plush or something. I imagine her whole body to be soft too, but I don't know how feasible it is to give her a plush body, but it'd be so cute. I tried to give everyone a unique color palette too, so she got green and pink, which goes so well together, and give her both a natural look as well as making her adorable. At least I think so. But anyway, I think that's about all I have to say about little Rosie. Let's move on. And now let's talk about Artie. Artie is our artist mascot. Very clever name, I know. If you watched Art Attack when you were a kid, that's basically his show. He's all about expressing your creativity in all kinds of ways. He's fun and charming and full of energy, though a bit chiller than Millie. And he is beloved by their audience. He's the second favorite, if not the favorite, surpassing even our main girl. But Millie holds no resentment over his popularity. In fact, they're best friends. See, like I mentioned earlier, we had our original little trio, then other mascots were added to expand the group, and Artie was one of the first. He was always intended to be a friend to the rest of the mascots, as they all are, but he and Missy got really close as they're the most extroverted, energetic and fun-loving of the group. They're always cracking jokes together and just having a good time. They definitely have shows together all of the time. They probably even pressure the producers to give them screen time together. I like to think they even tell their audience to request more episodes with the two of them. Like Artie is finishing his show and suddenly is like, "Don't you think it would be simply amazing to have Miss Millie painting with us next time?" And then the producer have no choice but to make it happen. But Artie gets on great with everyone. He's just so effortlessly lovable, and he loves making presents for his friend through art. Whether it be paintings, drawings, customized object of any kind, he's probably always up to something when the cameras aren't rolling. The crew in charge of stock and organization must hate him with all the stuff he's constantly creating. He also has a horde of kids' drawings. Being extremely popular and, of course, being the one teaching kids how to make art, he gets so much fan art and he keeps all of it. You probably can't see any corner of wall or flooring in his green room with all the art that's in there. And the cleaning staff better not take any of it away because they'll never hear the end of it if they do. But anyway, let's go over the design process for Artie. At first, all we knew was we wanted an artist character. But what does that mean exactly? I don't want to design just a guy. He had to have something special to make him stand out. I mentioned to the team that I didn't know what to do with his colors either, and I was given the idea, why not give him everyone's colors? A rainbow then? And that's when we got his theme. If he's rainbow colored, let's make him weather themed. Once we got his theme out of the way, it was so much fun to figure out. I knew I wanted some kind of clouds in this design, be it clothes, hair, his head. That way the white balances the bright rainbow. I also thought it'd be cute if a part of his outfit was all white for kids to draw on. Besides white and rainbow, his primary color would be blue, for the sky of course. His head shape was the hardest part to figure out. I wanted it to be unique, and a moon or a sun head seemed like a great choice. But of course, being an animatronic mascot, you know who that ended up looking like. I did settle on a sun head for now, but I'm still not 100% sure. I think it looks so cute and fit his personality so well, but I'm still afraid he's too similar to Sun. I don't want him constantly being compared to, you know. I guess we'll have to see. he might stay exactly the same or I might finally decide to switch him up a bit. One thing that stayed consistent through his iteration is his big prop. He either has a rainbow umbrella or a giant paintbrush dipped in rainbow paint. His final design has the umbrella, but I like to think he still has both. And in different merch or marketing item, it switches between which one he's holding. I think he ended up looking so cute. His personality definitely gets shined through. Oh, and one last thing, Artie is pretty short too. Not nearly as short as Rosie, but he's around human height. And even then, short adult height, which makes him tiny compared to his best friend Millie. But that's it for Artie. Let's keep going. Our next mascot is Monet. They're a huge fan of all sports, especially extreme ones, with their favorite being roller skating. They were created to be the cool one of the group, definitely made to keep the attention of older kids / teenagers. Whether that worked or not is up for discussion. But yeah, their thing is to be all cool and relatable, or to be a figure kids would look up to. When they're not busy with some physical activity, they're very chill, even lazy a bit. They just love to relax. Very Rainbow Dash-like. I was definitely thinking of her when coming up with Monet. When they're doing any kind of sports though, they're very energetic and can get very competitive very fast. They do have a bit of an ego. I think they're very proud of their physical prowess, but I don't think they'd be mean about it at all. Even their competitive side comes from wanting everyone to give it their all. It's not fun to play against someone who doesn't care. So if they lose at something, they might be a bit mad, but mostly they'd be proud of you for winning. Congrats, you worked so hard and they can tell. Their laid-back side also pairs well with the animal I based them on, which is a sea slug. I've always loved those little guys, they're so unique and colorful. So, when I was figuring out what I should do with our skaters character design, those little buggers came to mind, and then I was just set on them. Their name also comes from sea life. Monet, short for anemone. We went for Monet instead of money because, well, it would have sounded weird. But anyway, I had a hard time figuring out their color palette though. Sea slugs come in so many different colors that I had no idea which would be best for Monet. But in the end, I settled on blue and orange, since those colors weren't already used by other mascots. I also struggled a lot with their body type and overall proportion. They were one of the last to be designed, so I kept looking back at the others and making sure this design was different enough. At first they were gonna be tall, but then they looked too much like our next character, so I ended up on a shorter character, around Artie's height. I knew I wanted them to wear some kind of streetwear, but at the same time not to be over-designed or too fashion-forward. It's not the point of the character, while also fitting in with the rest. So what I went with is an asymmetrical look to their clothes. It gives them a unique silhouette without being too complicated, and I think it communicates quite well what kind of character they're supposed to be. My favorite part is the helmet plus hair combo that completely covers their eyes and only leaves a lazy kind of smile. They get the cute bunny-like ears some sea slugs have, and I tied a bunch of their hair into a big ponytail to mimic the tail sea slugs have. And they also have an actual tail, cause why not? And they of course have their trusty roller skates and some protective gear on. I imagine they also have a skateboard, but their main thing is their roller skates. And that's it for Monet's design. They bring a cool nautical theme to the group. I think it'd be cute if they had some aquariums near their TV sets that kids can come look at. Or maybe they have some special episodes where they teach kids about all kinds of sea creatures. I didn't mention it, but they do have a soft spot for animals, which may or may not become important later on. Anyway, it's time for our final character. Or should I say characters? And the final addition to our little group is actually a duo. They're alien twin idols, stars from the stars. Their names are Cosmos for the boy and Nova for the girl. I've been so excited to talk about these two because I love the concept we went for with them. Okay, so they might be a duo now, but Cosmos actually started out as a solo act. He was the star of his own show and he loved it. He has a huge ego and takes so much pride in what he does. I don't think he'd necessarily be mean to the others though, probably a bit annoying at times. But for example, he respects Millie as their leader, He also encourages kids to become stars of their own and hone in their talents. But sadly, he wasn't exactly the most popular, and the studio felt, as a solo singer, he didn't have as much going on as the others. His show didn't have that spark. So they created that spark in the form of Nova, Cosmo's twin sister. She came down to Earth to participate in human culture and share a beautiful voice with humanity, alongside her brother. And their introduction was a success. Their show had much more going on now that they were a duo. They did more than sing to. They had little theatre performances where they played every role, and it was all so fun. But Cosmos hated it. He hated it all. But mostly, he hated his sister. How dare she stole his spotlight? He was perfectly fine on his own. She's just a cheap copy of him. Remember when I said Cosmos wasn't necessarily mean? Well, now he is. He's awful to Nova. He cannot stand being near her. And yet they spend every moment together, since their whole thing is being a duo. And Nova, poor sweet little Nova, doesn't understand at all why her dearest brother is acting this way. Well, she doesn't even understand that Cosmos is being so awful to her. You see, I imagine that when they're created, each mascot has a base personality, with basic knowledge that comes with it. So whatever they need to be the character they're supposed to be. And for Nova, it's of course being a singer/performer, whatever alien lore they both have, and being a sister. Being Cosmos' sister is at the core of her character. And siblings tease each other, right? So what Cosmos is constantly doing to her is normal. He's just being a regular older brother. And that's how Nova sees the situation. It's why, despite everything, she loves her brother so much. She looks up to him and hangs on to every word he says and everything he does. She's the sweetest little thing ever, and she's completely oblivious to how much of a bully her brother really is. I do think she feels a sort of sadness when he's being really mean, but it's like she doesn't register it. She doesn't understand what she feels, so she just chalks it up to being totally normal and fine. They also often call each other big brother and little sister. Even though they were designed as being twins, Nova was created later, so she is the youngest. Cosmos calls her little sister a lot to diminish her. You're the little sister, you'll never be better than me. While Nova calls him big brother, because she looks up to him so much. And side note, Cosmos and Monet were created at around the same time, so Nova is the youngest out of the whole group. She's a baby! And by the way, Cosmos isn't outwardly mean to her when they're live or in front of an audience or anything like that. To the public, it's like they have a good old-fashioned sibling rivalry. Nothing nasty or anything. The other mascots do notice it, of course, but there's not much they can do, so what they do is be very kind to Nova. They all love her so much. Which, once again, of course, makes Cosmos mad. Okay, I've talked about them a lot, so let's go over the designs very quickly. So, of course, since they're supposed to be aliens, I had to give them futuristic clothing. Kind of leaning retro future. Big old boots, that's something I knew I wanted from the start for them. And lots of stars, as their main theme. And their palette being purple and yellow also came naturally to me. Purple for space, and yellow for the stars. And their hair is white and fluffy, kind of like clouds. By the way, at first, I wanted to name them Meep and Morp, but the others didn't agree. Anyway, to finish off their outfits, parts of it get glitter, because it's just fitting for idols to get shimmering clothes. They would make for beautiful dolls too. And those are our twin idols. Very Sharpie and Ryan, very Velvet and Veneer. I know it's very tropey to have a good twin and a bad twin, but we're very set on these two. And we still have some stuff concerning them that I'm very excited about. But that has to stay secret for now. And that was everyone! At least everyone I feel like talking about right now. We need to keep some surprises for the actual game. But thank you so much for watching till the end. This video is a bit more personal than usual, since it's a project that has become very important to me. I'm putting my all into this. I really hope you enjoy learning about our little group of mascots. Me and the team love them so much. And hopefully you like them as much as we do. Please feel free to tell me what you think of them in the comments. And if you have any questions about this project or the characters, I will try my best to answer it, as long as it won't spoil anything. We're also extremely early into development, so some things are bound to change. When the game actually releases, there might be some differences, who knows. Also, I don't want to have another hiatus as long as this one has been, but I also want most of my focus to be on this project. So I'll try my best, but don't expect a regular upload schedule. Sorry. But anyway, the game release won't be until sometime. So in the meanwhile, thank you again for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!